and leave your teeth more than 90% plaque-free. Try Interplaque. If ever a new product deserved a drum roll, this is it.
Need antifreeze? At Pep Boys and Parts USA, we've got this and that and this and that. We have every major brand at everyday low prices, like this for only that. New temp for just $3.99 a gallon after mail-in rebate at all Pep Boys and Parts USA stores now.
Tonight, Larry King gathers all the Republican presidential candidates for an open forum to discuss the issues facing America. A Campaign 96 2-hour special Larry King Live. Tonight, 9 Eastern on CNN.
All right, coming up on 23 after the hour. The stage is all ready, but what about the performers?
Yeah, might be a little bit of a problem there. Republican presidential hopefuls are gathering in Florida for tonight's debate, but some familiar faces may not be able to be on hand. Charles Bierbauer explains why in today's Inside Politics Extra. Charles?
Morning, Charles.
Morning, Donna. Leon, yes. What if they threw a straw poll and nobody came? That's part of the problem as several thousand Florida Republicans converge on Orlando for the start of what's called Presidency 3. It's unlikely they'll be joined by the full slate of GOP presidential candidates. Bob Dole, the Republican frontrunner, will not be there for tonight's debate because of the budget battle here. Dole may not even join the other lawmaker candidates in a satellite hookup, and that's a disappointment for event organizer Jeb Bush.
I don't understand the rules of the Senate and how long the debate takes place. This is a national crisis, and he's the majority leader. He has a responsibility beyond Presidency 3, obviously. But I'm disappointed that he couldn't participate in the debate. The other senators apparently are willing to do so, and they're trying to work out those arrangements. So we're going to go on as scheduled.
The other legislator candidates are Senators Phil Gramm, Dick Lugar, Arlen Specter, and Congressman Bob Dornan, and they're all expected to participate from Washington, staying here too, so they can cast any votes needed on the budget. The Dole campaign says it hopes that the Senate Majority Leader will be able to attend Saturday's straw vote. Senator Dole is expected to win that straw poll Saturday, and if the numbers hold up, the Florida primary next March. The latest poll shows Dole well out in front of the rest of the field, with Phil Gramm the only other candidate registering in double digits. Pat Buchanan, Lamar Alexander, Dick Lugar, and Steve Forbes follow, with the remaining candidates registering only 1% each. And joining us now to discuss Florida and other issues, Charles Cook, editor and publisher of the Cook Political Report. Charlie, Florida, what difference does it make whether Bob Dole is there or not?
Well, if he can do anything to diminish the importance of the Florida straw poll, that helps him, because this is really the last shot that Phil Gramm, Lamar Alexander, the other Republican candidates have to show could put any kind of win on the board for 1995. They all desperately need to go back to their previous contributors and say, look, I'm not dead, I still have a chance, see how well I did in Florida. Dole needs to keep that from happening. So a wash works for him if he can diminish the importance. So if someone upsets him, it doesn't look so important, then that's good.
But I thought he was supposed to win this straw poll.
Well, yeah, it's win or it's win. I mean, he has to not only win, but he needs to win with some points to spare. And so they want to make sure that they not only win, but beat the point spread, but diminish the impact if there were a loss.
Would you see some of the other candidates saying, well, Bob Dole would have been here, but he hasn't gotten the job done yet in Washington, so it's not a question necessarily being on the job, but maybe unable to finish it?
Sure. I mean, he doesn't want, I mean, if he just wishes all these other candidates would just go away. And so anything he can do to diminish their importance, to diminish their exposure, to make the debate not as widely watched as it normally would be, then that helps him.
Well, some of these other candidates may well go away. Senator Specter on the ropes, about to bow out, last faint hurrah?
Sure, and if Lamar Alexander doesn't really score this weekend, then I think he becomes a lot less relevant come Iowa, New Hampshire. A lot of these guys financially on the ropes. Gramm is the only one with any kind of financial staying power other than, of course, Steve Forbes.
But doesn't Gramm really have to start to demonstrate some significant numbers?
He really does. Iowa, he's showing signs of growth there, but he needs to show some growth someplace else because New Hampshire's numbers are not very good at all.
Let's turn to the budget, which is what's keeping Senator Dole and the others here in town. The votes continuing on the overall budget bill. They've sent the president now another continuing resolution short-term bill, which would bring people back to work, those who have been shut out of the government for the rest of this previous week and possibly into next week. I'm hearing on the Hill that the Republicans think the Democrats are beginning to weaken on the Hill. 7 Democratic senators voted for this bill.
Well, I think there are more increasing Democratic defections, but I do think that they'd be able to override a veto both on the House and the Senate side. So they're hanging tough for now. I think what the interesting thing to me is that by past history, President Clinton is the person in this whole game that's most likely to cave, based on his gubernatorial record, his presidential record so far, and Newt Gingrich and the freshman House Republicans, the ones that are most likely to hang tough. But if you look at the polling data, every bit of it is backing up Clinton's position, so that it tends to give him more resolve and tends to create the possibility of fissures on the Republican side. But I think we're going well into next week.
Newt Gingrich hurt himself with this whiny little bit about Air Force One and not being talked to on the plane.
Oh, it just looked so childish. It really did, and it hurt him a great deal. And I think it's created an opening where Dole desperately needs to start creating some separation between himself and Speaker Gingrich, and I think this is probably the time when it's going to start.
Are they not working in tandem well?
Well, they're working in tandem well, but the thing is, Dole, they had sort of a good cop, bad cop routine last spring, where Newt was the bad cop and Dole was the good cop, and they've kind of their positions have kind of converged, and Dole, I think, needs to separate himself because he doesn't want his numbers to go where Gingrich's are.
Last quick question. Saturday is the start of duck hunting season in the state of Louisiana, but it's also the date of the Louisiana runoff for the governor's race. We've been keeping tabs on that week by week. What do you see happening there?
I think this is going to be the most polarized, racially polarized statewide election in American history. You're going to see Cleo Fields, the Democrat who's an African-American, getting 98% or so, 95% of the black vote, and I think you're going to see Mike Foster, the Republican, get 80–90% of the white vote. And so it's not even going to be remotely close.
And therefore Foster wins.
Foster wins big, over 60%.
All right, Charlie Cook, thank you for joining us for our usual Friday forum. We will preview the Republican candidates' debate later today on Inside Politics. Judy Woodruff is live in Orlando, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern and again at 8:30 Eastern Time. And then a special 2-hour Larry King Live, Campaign 96, the Republican candidates. That's at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And now in Washington, I'm Charles Bierbauer, and we go back to Donna Kelly and Leon Harris in Atlanta.
Thank you, Charles. Well, no matter how alone you might feel, you're never out there all by yourself, we hear.
Well, at least that's what our guest is ready to tell us this morning in just a few minutes. And if you're not careful, Amy Tan just might have you believing in ghosts.
This is the place for conversation about issues that concern us all. This is CNN.
Hey, Art, have you ever really thought about it? 11 guys line up on one side of the field, another 11 guys line up on the other side of the field, one of which has a piece of leather with air in it, being chased by 11 other guys who's going to drag him to the ground and beat the stuffings out of him. And then they get up, do it all over again and again. For 3 hours.
I know, Deacon. Ain't it great?
Brought to you in part locally by Shiloh Inn.
Patty Duke is a housewife who suffers an unfair divorce judgment.
I find the wife the most to blame.
She goes to law school and learns to litigate her own case.
I can do whatever I choose. I'm the judge here.
Find out how this courageous woman uses the system to fight back.
I don't want to vanish.
See this true story through November on Lifetime.
You know, you're the first ordinary person I've met to argue her own case.
See the difference on TCI.
CNN Today with Bobby Batista and Lou Waters, weekdays 1 Eastern on CNN.
Are you fighting your food? We'll tell you about an anti-obesity drug that is moving closer to federal approval, and we'll have more on that shortly.
We will also be checking the weather forecast for you, but first, look at some other stories we're covering this morning. President Clinton could exercise his veto power again today. The Senate gave final congressional approval to a bill to temporarily reopen the government, but it is tied to a provision requiring a balanced budget in 7 years. Mr. Clinton has vowed to veto any bill with such strings attached. The government shutdown now in its 4th day. Secretary of State Warren Christopher left Japan today, returning to the U.S. for a possible peace signing ceremony on the Bosnian conflict. That signing could take place Sunday or Monday at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base outside Dayton, Ohio. French officials, however, are insisting any accord signing occur in Paris.
31 minutes after the hour, financial news, usually at this time, so we should stick with that.
Let's go for it. Donald Vandermark at the helm up in New York. Donald?
Thank you very much, Leon and Donna. Stocks are off to a slow but steady start. The Dow Industrials are up, and that means we're in record territory yet again. Right now, the Dow is up about 8 points at 49.77. The broader market indices are all higher as well. The NASDAQ Composite is up about a point. Let's take a look at the early winners and losers on Wall Street. First, the losers. LoJack is off 3 1/4 points. The car theft retrieval company says fourth quarter earnings will be at the low end of expectations. Intersolve dropping 4 3/4 points. The computer software maker reported lower than expected earnings, and SoundView Financial cut its earnings estimates. DG International off 1 1/8 points. That despite a 16% gain in quarterly earnings. DG makes telecommunications hardware and software. The big winners so far, Interneuron Pharmaceuticals is up 3 3/4 points. The drug maker received a Food and Drug Administration advisory panel's approval for its reduction treatment for obesity. You've talked about it. Quarterdeck Office Systems is up 1 5/8 points. The computer maker benefiting from positive comments in the Wall Street Journal. And Oracle Systems is gaining 1 1/4. The database designer was initiated by Lehman Brothers with a buy recommendation today. Bond prices, however, are slipping following yesterday's big run-up. The 30-year bond is down 3/32 of a point. The yield at 6.23%. That's the latest in business news. I'm Donald Vandermark at the New York Stock Exchange. Now back to Donna and Leon in Atlanta.
All right, thanks, Donald. Now, for some people, the fight against fat is never ending.
But the government may soon decide if new weapons are on the way.
Managing mutual funds is a challenge requiring extraordinary discipline. Of studying, exploring, probing, anticipating. No one understands this like Lord Abbett and Company. Lord Abbett, disciplined investing that has built a tradition of performance with over 500,000 corporate, institutional, and individual accounts. Lord Abbett and Company, a tradition of performance through disciplined investing.
Perhaps it's because we offer our business class passengers complimentary limousines, sleeper seats with up to 15 inches of extra legroom, and personal video screens at every seat. Or it may just be our refreshingly different British personality. Whatever the reason, it seems we put a few noses just a bit out of joint. Upper Class by Virgin Atlantic Airways.
Not long ago, I started tap dancing. And almost 8 miles later, I arrived in the world record book. That takes a lot of juice. Sunsweet prune juice. All the juice you need.
You can depend on us when you need to be restarted. But AAA is also there when you want to be cruised, waterfalled, glaciered, wined, dined, and completely spoiled by a Holland America West Tours Alaska vacation. Because AAA members get free tour options. For details on our members-only offer on Holland America West Tours Alaska vacations or AAA membership, call 1-800-374-1106.
Travel with someone you trust.
AAA.
CNN revolutionized the way the world watches the news. Soon, it'll do the same for business. Ask your cable or satellite company about CNN-FM, the new financial network from CNN.
.35 after the hour, and it looks now like Don King may be a free man. Let's go now to CNN's Gary Tuchman on the phone on the latest on the trial for insurance fraud. Gary?
Well, Leon, Don King does remain a free man for now. Prosecutors have dropped an effort to appeal a judge's decision to declare a mistrial in his insurance fraud case. Yesterday, jurors announced after 4 days of deliberations they were hopelessly deadlocked. Judge Lawrence McKenna ruled a mistrial, but prosecutors asked a 3-judge panel to overturn the decision. That was supposed to happen today, the 3-judge panel's decision, but the prosecutors have abruptly changed their minds about the appeal. Government sources say they believe an appeal was unwinnable, so now they will get ready for what will likely be trial number 2. A conference will be held here in New York City a week from Tuesday with both sides, prosecutors and defense attorneys, to discuss a retrial. Although prosecutors haven't officially said at this point they will ask for one, it is expected. People are telling us there's no doubt there will be trial number 2 against Don King. Now, the boxing promoter is charged with faking an insurance contract to collect $350,000 in bogus training fees for a canceled 1991 fight. Some jurors talked to us just a few minutes ago, and they say they were evenly split about whether King was guilty or not. Leon King could face 45 years in jail if he's found guilty of these charges eventually. Back to you.
All right. CNN's Gary Tuckman in New York. Thanks very much. Well, the FDA is considering a recommendation from a panel of experts to approve the long-term use of a new anti-obesity drug. Get the details now from CNN's Eugenia Halsey in our report on food and health.
In just 6 months, Dick Titus of Reston, Virginia has lost 45 pounds. The secret of his success? Exercise, diet, and diet pills.
I've lost more than anything I've ever done.
Titus is taking a prescription diet drug called Pondamin or fenfluramine. It's a chemical relative of the drug the FDA has been considering approving for longer periods of use called dexfenfluramine. Titus's medication is only approved for a few months' use and may not be as effective as dexfenfluramine. Dexfenfluramine is already approved in 65 countries and would be marketed in the United States by Interneuron. At a meeting of an FDA advisory committee, the company, bolstered by board member Alexander Haig, said the drug helps twice as many people lose 10% of their weight as a dummy pill.
There have been 10 million users with no after effects and study after study.
We want healthcare professionals to have more options available to treat the obese patient whose obesity places her or him at increased risk for disease and death.
Obesity kills 300,000 people a year in the United States. Dexfenfluramine increases levels of serotonin in the brain, making patients feel full sooner so they eat less food. But some people were worried about reports of brain damage in animals given very high doses of the drug.
This drug is not the only hope for fat people. It may be that the safety concerns will be satisfactorily resolved someday, but that day is not today.
Unlike other diet drugs available, dexfenfluramine is not addictive and has few side effects. But not everyone loses weight with it, and patients usually regain the weight if they go off the drug. Still, Interneuron defended dexfenfluramine's record.
The margin of safety for this drug is absolutely enormous.
The FDA panel narrowly agreed, recommending the agency approve dexfenfluramine on a vote of 6-5. However, it would like to see more studies of the drug's long-term effects. The FDA usually follows the panel's recommendation. Interneuron says dexfenfluramine could be available in the United States as soon as it receives final approval. It's not clear how much it would cost. Patients pay about $2 a day for it in Europe. Eugenia Halsey, CNN, Washington.
Food and Health is brought to you by Pepcid AC Acid Controller. You can be heartburn-free with new Pepcid AC.
Lasagna, sausage, and a spicy meatball.
But you know I can't eat this. I'll be up all night with heartburn.
Your appetizer.
New Pepcid AC Acid Controller.
This one little pill can stop heartburn before it starts. Just take this one now before dinner. It'll prevent heartburn all night long.
Bless you.
Pepcid, now available without a prescription.
I think it needs a little more spice.
You can be heartburn-free with new Pepcid AC, the strongest, longest acid controller.
How would your dentist recommend you clean your teeth? The Braun Oral-B Plaque Remover has been clinically proven to clean teeth better than a manual toothbrush. Its unique cup-shaped brush head removes plaque from deep between teeth and even below the gum line, leaving your teeth so clean you can feel it. And now kids can start brushing better too, with a model designed just for them. The Braun Oral-B Plaque Remover cleans better than a manual toothbrush.
This is the end of the United States of America, which explains a lot about Key West. And because the end is near, you can be here in no time flat. The Florida Keys and Key West.
Perfect nutrition for dogs? Introducing Purina Nutrient Management brand dog food.
Purina Nutrient Management is 100% nutrient complete and nutrient balanced for 100% perfect nutrition. With scientifically formulated Purina Nutrient Management, you're helping your dog be his absolute best. New Purina Nutrient Management. It provides perfect nutrition for dogs.
Everybody was sandbagging, but it was no use.
The floodwaters bring more than destruction. They bring the unexpected.
We lost everything.
The volunteers go home and it's just you, throwing away your memories.
Floods can strike anywhere, anytime. I never thought it could happen to us. The National Flood Insurance Program can help. We can't replace your memories, but we can help you build new ones. For facts on flood insurance, call your insurance company, agent, or this number.
Good thing Gomez Adams wasn't here. You know about the Adams family?
Yes.
He goes nuts every time he hears French.
Oh, yes?
Val was just speaking French.
Okay. Well, the good news is she also knows how to speak English and our weather, huh, Val?
Yeah, we were saying ooh la la about the weather, right? Across the northeastern part of the country, the snow seems to be going on indefinitely over western New York. The last few days, lake effect snows have been falling, and there have still been some lake snow warnings in effect across the region. Oswego, Oneida, Madison counties, Wayne, Lewis, Jefferson counties in New York. And then, of course, these snow advisories across southern Wisconsin and Michigan are in association with a low pressure area that's producing the snow. Could be enhanced by the lakes in some areas. The snow advisory has been discontinued in western sections of Wisconsin, including Eau Claire, La Crosse, but been extended into northeastern Wisconsin because most of the snow is pushing eastward. We're talking about 3 to 5 inches of snow. No snow in the forecast out across the west, at least not yet, although a storm moving into the northwest is going to drop snow levels in the Cascades to about 4,000 feet by later today. Also produce strong winds. There are high wind watches and warnings in effect. Also a wind warning in effect on up across Vancouver Island into British Columbia. Fog is the biggest problem out across the west. If you are flying to western airports, especially in California, call your airline because there are a number of delays. High temperatures today, 60s, 70s, 80s through the west. Maybe a couple of records broken again. 90s in the desert southwest, but different story in the eastern part of the country. Still pretty cool. The upper Midwest, New England,